no matter who you are, where you are, what your choices have been, and what karmic timelines and contracts you have journeyed, the light is calling for the reunification of all aspects of life in this realm now. It is calling for the cleansing of all polarities. It is calling for the rising of all sacred heart centers now. All are being summoned home to the greater light now. Hi, and welcome to Whole Soul Mastery's Sounds of Circles Holiday Roundtable today. It is December 2021, and I'm gathered in this beautiful sacred circle of some amazing souls who want to share what's in our hearts as we feel the energies, as we surf these waves, and as we celebrate the holiday season. And we have in our awareness this timeline, this energy of endings and new beginnings, because January 2022 is right around the corner. And we are all in the season of light. I truly want to be a reminder of the fact that we are in a season of light, even though at times we can see waves of darkness or density also pass us by in our experiences right now, because we're living in a timeline of many timelines converging. So for today, right now, we each are going to share some of what's in our hearts for us in the Sacred Roundtable, and for our listeners joining us in this holiday season, in this timeline, or someone who finds this podcast and this roundtable message maybe months or even years from now. There are timeless, enduring messages in here as well, because the light endures. The light of God and source energy and the infinite universe is enduring, and we are just getting up to speed, all of us, with communing with the light again in these deeper, more soulful ways. So I'm going to go around this roundtable for a moment and just have people raise their hands. Thank you, Nancy and Paul Panzica. Thank you for joining us. And we have Matthew Crowfoot. Thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you, Marie.
So grateful to have all of you with me. This is Del Sol Etienne. Beautiful, joining us from sunny Florida.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. And Renee Tainter. Thank you, Renee. Thank you for joining us. Lisa De Tomaso.
Yes.
Good
morning.
Good morning. And Patrick Chevalier. Thank you, Patrick, for joining us.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
So good to all be together. And as we know, where two or more are gathered, manifestations are easier, right? We just are expanding these light codes in the living light. And I think our planet needs a little bit of that right now. So just our being together, even if we didn't speak at all, any messages, our light and our presence would be the message, right? Because we emanate these higher frequencies. So today we're each going to share a little bit of something that's in our hearts. I'm going to open the roundtable with a message from the guides, and I'm going to round out the roundtable with another message that I received for these times and for the holiday season for all of us and for our listeners tuning in. And here we have a message from the guides, and this is what they shared here for this holiday season. Dear ones, it is Mother Earth, Mother Father God, Mother Mary, El Moria, and the Arcturian High Council here, streaming through the heart center of the unity star that showers all of creation with feelings, frequencies, and knowings of love and oneness. It is that star of Bethlehem, and that one and the same unity star that has been guiding all of humanity and all life in all realms since the beginning of time. Living light and enduring love such as this is here now today in your holiday gathering to spread the good news and the sacred awareness that all is truly well throughout all time and space. Each of you gathered here sharing your hearts and messages with each other and with all in the expansive human family is tapped into that living life force and is attuned to these knowings of which we speak and is gifting these sacred frequencies as bundles of joy, light, peace, and love this holiday season and into the new year as part of the new template for the new 5D loving, living, and giving earth. There are many, countless, we would say, multidimensional frequencies whirling and swirling around your world at the moment. These are energies of times past, present, and future, seeking to settle into one gigantic, epic, and synergized now in a brand new God timeline and season of grace and joy. Will it take a little while for the kinks to be worked through? Yes. But can you enjoy the knowing and the being of that timeline now? Yes, absolutely. And this is what we invite you to honor, to allow, to remember, and to embody this special season as you connect and gather with your family, friends, and connections you hold dear. You are the change makers. You are the dreamers. You are the instruments of strength, joy, kindness, compassion, awareness, and divine soul sight and heart sight that know how to be true to you in these times. So keep rising, keep singing, keep ringing those bells of the great awakening, for you are the ones sounding in the light of a new earth, a new awakening, a new earth dawning. And it is that music, it is those celestial sounds when harmonized in your heart's highest intentions for this world and for each other, that magic and miracles do sprinkle through and touch every life in this world. Feel the unity star inside you, guiding you. Know that your heart knows the way every day to sprinkle a little more magic, a little well-being, or some divine inspiration in your day or someone else's. Let your light brighten up any songs of sadness or confusion simply by your presence. For your presence, dear ones, is the gift. You are all so deeply cherished and loved, dear ones. You are love. All are love. And I'm so grateful to the guides that bring in these higher frequencies and these celestial and vibrational reminders that each of you I know remembers. And all of us tuning into these frequencies in these times right now, we're invited to elevate our consciousness, to rise into this unity and this higher consciousness, that unity star. A year ago, I think the guides were bringing these messages about the Star of Bethlehem. And I don't remember the exact words right now, but I know the energy was that that Star of Bethlehem didn't just guide the three wise men. That Star of Bethlehem has been a unity star that has been here and guiding all sentient life for eons of time, much further back than most human beings can remember. And that Star of Bethlehem shines for all of us. It's beyond religion, right? It's a deeper reflection of the light inside of ourselves that is a match to the light of the God star, right? The God heart. So that's us, and that's seeding these conversations, these inspirations today that we're each going to share. And I think the universe and I think our Earth planet is ready to be sprinkled with more light so that we're living the experience of this enhanced and increased light in our life. And we're just the messengers and the voices today that are going to be streaming some more of that through. So with that said, who would like to share something that's in their heart and in their awareness about this holiday season and the living light that's expanding, but also what's moving through you right now? How is that? What do you want to share? Paul? It's always good to start with Paul.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll start sharing some stuff. Well, I thought that there was literally a Star of Bethlehem last year with the Grand Conjunction. I actually saw it with my own eyes, and I said, "Well, that must have been what it looked like." It was there for just a few days, but around the solstice of last year, when Jupiter and Saturn came together, and it was right at the horizon. It was right at the western horizon, almost like it was leading us or guiding a person towards that direction. And so I thought that, what did it mean for me? You know, what was that Grand Conjunction, and what did it mean? Do you remember where was it? I think it was in Aquarius, wasn't it? We can't remember. All right, Capricorn or Aquarius, but wherever it was, it was those two luminaries coming. Luminaries, right? No. Help me out.
Planets.
There's these giants. What do we call those again? Come on, help me out here. Planets. I know they're planets, but they're large planets. All right, and so that they have a huge effect upon us, and they signify the transpersonal planet, and so they're kind of like literally like the yin and the yang, or anyway, they're coming together in a state of wholeness, and so this goes beyond the mundane, and then we go into kind of like a spiritual plane. And what did it signify for me was, it signified a time of unconditional giving. And I think that's really kind of where we're moving towards. I thought it would happen for 2021, but I didn't really see a lot of evidence of that. But I think that it was heralding that time. And the first time, Marie, that you and I spoke, when we did our first interview, you started talking about Christmas, and I'm going, why are we talking about Christmas? It was like in
July.
No, it wasn't July, but it was like around October, you know. And you just had it in your heart to speak it. And when you said this, you triggered a memory that I had a long time ago, which was related to my Christmas vision. And I was a little kid. I think I was maybe about 7 years old. And I had this dream where I was in a room with those two planets, you know, I would say that there was a celestial king and a celestial queen, and there was also an infant in the room. And it was in this really intimate space. And I was just there, and I was just witnessing all of this, but my presence was acknowledged. And it felt like the season. It felt like the whole point, or the whole meaning of the ritual, which was, you know, they were going to give me something of immense value, which I needed. I specifically needed, which was outside of the physical plane. And I think I realized at the time that the vision itself was a gift, and there it was. And so, you know, how we can look at the celestial beings that were there, a celestial king and a celestial queen, could be interpreted as Saturn and Jupiter. They both have those energies. They both have those qualities, and in union, they gave birth then to. And you know, I can't remember what the Star of David was. If that alignment was the Star of Bethlehem. I'm sorry, if that was an alignment of those planets were involved. But you know, the fruition of the union was the Christ child. And so, you know, all of that energy was there in the room that I was experiencing, and it made me think of that experience when I saw that Grand Conjunction last year. You know, it really felt that way. And so, you know, when I woke up, the irony of the dream was when I woke up, I was thinking, oh, 7 years old, though, I'm going to go open up some Christmas gifts, go run into the living room and look at the Christmas tree. And it was 6 months away from when that celebration should have happened. I was having the dream on the 25th of June. I distinctly remembering that date, going, why? This is in a year-long period of time. It was like, it seemed like to me the furthest point away, only because the seasonal changes were so drastic. But it helped me later on in life interpret the the astrology of things, because what was happening on an axis, and it was happening on a solstice, almost a solstice axis. And it started making me think, even back then, that there was something to the polarity that was occurring. And so, I don't know. I mean, this all started, I think, for me, there was something huge that happened on the summer solstice, and that was the beginning of this grand cross, and this reconfiguration of the four bodies of who we are, and we're going into now this seasonal time. Now we've already gone through two, and we're going through the third one now, which is egotistical transfiguration or reconstruction. And that in itself, if you look at the astrology, there's gift involved, or gift giving involved in that, for those who are prepared to receive it.
Right.
I don't know if that made any sense.
Totally. It absolutely did. In the bigger picture, because that's so much what you paint for us, Paul, is this bigger picture. And Renee, I think you're the one who says that the bigger your picture, right, the clearer your picture, the deeper your soul sight. And we need these bigger picture visions, because when we're in the minutia and we're spinning around in the details, we all go to the grocery store. Right? I mean, we all have to do our banking and pay our bills and live in that 3D, that mundane, ordinary world, and navigate that at the same time that all these epic, extraordinary, bigger picture things with like these giant planets you're talking about that are influencing our emotions and our energy bodies. It helps to have people languaging and weaving these things together. And of all the stages that you just described too, that we're going through, from what that grand cross and the grand trines were signifying to, and the Star of Bethlehem, and heralding this timeline of, did you say generosity? What was that you?
Unconditional giving.
Unconditional giving, right?
Yeah, unconditional giving. It flows from the heart. It's giving for the sake of giving. Right? That's what we do as human beings living in oneness. There's no conditions on it. That's the only way we have to come to an understanding that that's the only way that we can exist in true prosperity and security and safety, is when we understand that we have the capacity as beings that are creational beings. We all are creational beings. And we start working with, in harmony too, and harnessing the celestial energies and the natural energies around us, then the earth becomes extraordinarily abundant, and we become co-creators of that abundance. So yeah, the idea is, at some point, monetary systems won't really make that much of a difference anymore. We can already do this. I mean, people, I don't know if they're even aware of this or not, but you can make gold. You can do it. It can be done. And I watch these laborious lectures on this from Russian scientists who were taking combinations of iron and I think they were taking spent radiation, waste, and then microbes. And they were creating whatever element you want. What happens? I mean, we already can do this now. We can create a perfect diamond. In fact, that's how a diamond, a fake diamond, is determined, because it has no flaws. So what's really valuable, right? You can make diamonds at will, and you can apparently make platinum and silver and gold at will. So what has value anymore? And I would say that what has true value is what it resides within you. That you have value. And the most precious resource in the world is the human soul. And in fact, the child's human soul. I mean, that is our greatest resource. And what do you think these dark energies covet more than anything else? Your soul. They want your soul's energies, and that's what they're trying to do, is harness it. And they're trying to usurp it and sap it and steal it. But once you stand up for yourself and become a sovereign individual and understand that you have the power to create, then, that whatever energy or power they held over you is negated. It has no more influence over you.
And it's like what you just said, Paul, it's our creation, that spirit of our ability as creators in our soul presence, right? What we're imbued with from divine creator is protection. When we inhabit those higher frequencies inside us that are in our heart centers, that are in our creative abilities, that are in the gifts that we are, or the presence that we are, when we allow ourselves to fully embody that, or even approximate embodying that, we are protected from these lower frequencies, right? And we stand in our own sovereignty and our own power. And another message of these times. But I really feel this time also as a season of integrating this higher awareness that we are that. We are soul in form, right? And the gifts of that are limitless, which is what you're saying. We can create anything that we want to individually, but really collectively. And when the world throws off the illusion that we are limited, that we're meant to labor in lack and scarcity and suffering, that's the costume that we're shedding in these times in ever increasing ways. And I love being in conversation and connection with each of you today, and those in our roundtables that have participated before that couldn't be here physically on the call, but I know are adding their presence and their awareness and their higher vibrations into these conversations. It invites us all to rise. It invites us all to rise, right? It's not a timeline of descension, right? It is a time of ascension, which is the great rising. And we all have the blueprints inside us to live and be this light that you see shining behind Matthew, especially, and you guys with your Christmas tree lights, right? The lights all around us in the sun are mirroring to us that which we are. And we just have to continue to rise and remember. And people who are listening to this, we just have to tap into beautiful messages and conversations like these. Maybe even turn the TV off, turn off some of your devices and tune in to some of these frequencies where people don't have some fancy movie going on, right? The movie is you. You are the main character of your story, and you're the main messenger of the light of the season here now in these times. So thank you, Paul. That was fantastic. It sounds like you might have a visitor. Do you have a four-legged friend?
Yeah, it's just don't go there. Right? We're fine.
Okay. All right. Well, who else would like to share a message today, this morning? Who else? Renee.
Yes, listening to Paul and the unconditional giving, and you saying connect to yourself. That's like my whole focus is connecting to my heart space, which is where the infinite lives, which is where you're the source and your source, because we are our presence of the omnipresence. And it has been brought to my attention a lot that people who are giving unconditionally everywhere. There are more people walking in that love and light than you might think. They may not be able to articulate it like we can. They may not really have a clue, but they're being led by their heart. I have had so many experiences. Like I went to Home Depot to buy a heater, and this couple I was paying for, I mean, it was heavy, but I could handle it, right? So this couple is kind of off to the side. As soon as I paid for it, he walked over and picked it up, and his wife, they're older couple, and she said, "We're going to help you take this to your car." I said, "Really?" And so I looked at the guy and I go, "Well, you're good for something, aren't you?" And we started to joke and laugh and connect. And so what I would want to say to people is be the first one to connect wherever you go. Who's in front of you? What's going on? Does does she look really nice today? Say it. Are you feeling, like I wear those Christmas headbands with the antlers or Santas or whatever. And it opens people up to go, oh, I love your headband. I wore it in physical therapy the other day, and these people were going, I should have worn mine. I'm going to wear mine tomorrow or next time or whatever. And so I think, and you said too, Paul, that all you do is connect to your heart. You don't have to have an agenda. You don't have to rehearse what you're going to say or do. You just connect to your heart. And when you realize that you are your heart, then you're not really having to connect to your heart, because you already are. It becomes your first nature. And you're not, in the beginning, when you're learning that and exiting all the old programming and the old ways of doing things, you do have to kind of have these like memory, don't react to that or whatever. And then as you embody that more and more, it becomes your first nature, and it's naturally you. You're not going, okay, I'm leaving, I'm going to run errands, I'm going to make sure and connect to everybody today. No, that's who you are. Love in your heart was made to express and give, and there, everywhere I go, restaurants and the post office, if you reach out to somebody or smile, or boy, it's cold today, isn't it? Yeah, oh wow. And people respond. They respond to your smile. They respond to you reaching out. And when you give like that, you're receiving at the same time. I think that's the definition of you reap what you sow. Part of it is that the love you give is equal to the love you get. So as soon as you are expressing that love or fun or comforting someone or whatever happens to be in the moment, you don't have to think about it, because your heart, I learned, reads the energy around you, and you're in that space of wanting to give. And there it is. It's a natural response. It comes through your own personality. I happen to be a little on the silly side and sassy. And so I have a good time. And the people that I connect with also have a good time. That couple that helped me to my car, I said, you know what? I opened the trunk. He put the heater in there. I said, you know what? That was unbelievably nice of you to do that. That was so thoughtful. Thank you so much. She came in for a hug, and I hugged him too. I felt so good. And I just want to say that people like that are everywhere. It's not just people who can articulate things the way we can. It's everywhere. I think the energy on the planet of that love, people just automatically go to that, because it's the path of least resistance. Not like they don't have stuff going on in their life, or any one of us, but the choice they make is that love, and this is the season for it. There are a lot of things going on. I think the light on the planet and the light everywhere is bringing stuff up in us to look at, integrate, get rid of, transform it, and so that we can live in that freedom of being sovereign, and that freedom of not being impacted by everything that's going on around you, where you have to react, or you have to have fear, or you have to worry about what you're going to say or do. And so I think that the energy is with whatever is going on with the astrology. You guys know a lot more than I do. I feel that a real sense of love and light going on the planet right now.
I love what you said, Renee, about be the first to connect, right? Be the first to be your presence. First of all, you're the only one who can be your unique presence. And when you give yourself permission to be that and to shine that, it gives other people permission to receive that and to be that too. And it's so powerful. And as you were talking too, I felt that energy of blessings are reciprocal. Blessings are reciprocal. So when you are giving the blessing of your presence just freely, sovereignly, as you do, and as you did, Renee, and as they gave to you, there was this little celebration that happened in this impromptu, unexpected, beautiful, reciprocal blessing that unfolded. That's what humanity is meant to experience. That's what we're accustomed to in other ages and timelines on the planet and in other realms where we've lived. It's why many times this realm feels like we're fish out of water, some of us, that the way things are here have been upside down. When we are our presence, we help turn it right side up. And we create opportunities for the universe and the cosmos, and that divine light and love that you described so well, Renee, can flow into the experience with somebody else who's not necessarily expecting that in their day, and there it shows up. And then they go on, and love and light have a way of paying themselves forward, right? When you feel good, somebody else feels good, they give it to somebody else, and then they can feel good too. And it is everywhere. We have to be reminded that it's not the forecast that we're being told in many ways from our media streams. Who really appointed the media to be God? That's a whole other podcast. But for now, let's just say that that doesn't have to be our source of understanding of who we really are. We have to remember who we really are. We have to claim that sovereignty back. And we are love. The guides say that. That's the last line of every transmission, right? The last 3 lines. You are all so loved. You are love. And then they give us all of their love, right? We are that. So that was a beautiful, beautiful reminder. Be the first to connect, right? Be the first to step up in the love and the light that you are. Thank you, Renee. Amazing. Amazing. Who else wants to share? Matthew.
Yeah, I'm going to go next. Great share so far, everyone. I really like this theme of kind of switching from scarcity to contribution, which I think is what's happening on the planet as it kind of gets flipped right side up, as we've all talked about. And another thing from Paul too, I like this idea of things can energetically happen, but they take time to manifest. So like when you realize that and can allow for that, we might catch on to it right away, but for the rest of the world, it might take a little while, right? Including for us. So to show up in physical 3D form. So we're seeing some of that now. Today, I'd like to share this thing I came across called the prophetic word for Australia. This is by a prophet up in Canada. And I was so moved when I read this. My body just really viscerally reacted. And like, I got to share this on today's call. So I'm going to share that right now. So this is by a prophet up in Canada named Barry Wunsch. He channeled this on December 5th at 3:11 a.m. So here's what he had to say. I awoke with the fire of God on me. And this is the prophetic word for Australia. I awoke with the fire of God on me early this morning, and the Lord gave me a word for Australia. It came quickly and is for immediate release. Here's the raw word as I received it. We are in an Isaiah 55:7 moment right now. And Isaiah 55:7 reads, let the wicked forsake his way and the unrighteous man his thoughts. And let him return unto the Lord, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. Barry, I am calling in my harvest, not just in Canada, but across the nations. Keep your eye on Australia, for I am about to light it up, says the Lord. I'm about to release my fire across the land, and I shall blow upon the burning ones who are standing in my ways. They shall ignite cities, towns, and regions. Australia, for you have been forced down under, and yes, from that place I'm going to birth a movement of revival. I am not bringing in through the megachurch as many have expected, for they have had their chance. They compromised and now will pay the price. For this movement I shall birth in the heart of my people. I am coming to them in supernatural ways and encounters. They shall be empowered by me, says the Lord. My word and my spirit shall burn within them. From the underground they shall arise with me. Your oppressors do not have the upper hand as you suppose. For I am working underground in secret places in the hearts of good men. I'm going to give them wisdom and guidance and lead this great and mighty nation back to me. I am releasing the hosts of heaven to do their bidding. For I am raising up a national leader among you who I have prepared for the call. He is already on the inside and knows the landscape. He knows the cost, and he soon is to know me in a far greater way. For Australia, I have heard your cries. Day and night you cry out to me. I have heard them. Australia, prepare for a coup. For when I am going to move, I will move fast, and swiftly it shall be done. At first, you won't believe it is happening, for they will try to hide it, but they will not be able. For I am tying their hands. The media shall fall to their knees and turn from their wicked ways. The henchmen shall be taken out. Their days are numbered. Australia, my love, I'm going to blow upon your Sunshine Coast and your Golden Coast and bring a revival to the wild ones. For the places where they used to come to party in unhealthy ways, I'm going to rebirth into hubs and places where they shall come together to seek my glory and my revival. They will come from the nations once again for revival among the young and vibrant. That I shall rise up as mighty ones to take back the nations. Australia, I have not called you to be a timid nation. I'm calling my church to wake up out of the slumber and out of the silence. I'm calling you once again to stand up. Put the past behind you. Come to the altar and I will wash you clean. I will once again restore you and refresh you to take back the land. I'm calling my body to take back the universities and the schools that have been taken over by the enemy. They have used these institutions to swing and steer a nation into a great place of great compromise, forsaking my word and my ways. Australia, my love, my fire is coming to your government house. And when I am done, the rats will be burned out, each and every one, all corruption, all control. Every satanic practice, all occult rituals shall be dealt with. Yes, impossible for man, but not for the Lord of hosts. Australia, consider your ways. Now is the hour. Now is the time. Do not hasten your decision on this day, for no decision is a decision. Turn your hearts of worship unto me today. I am releasing frequencies in and through you that will shred the heavens for my kingdom. For I have called you to lead a global worship sound with the nations, and nations will turn to me once again. For this is what I have called you to lead. It is no wonder that the enemy hates you so, has tried to control and suppress you, tried to silence your voice and your song. Australia, my love, sing once again. With all you have, turn to me and away from your wicked ways, and yes, I will heal your land. Holy is the word of the Lord. God bless Australia, the beloved, you and your families. Bless and protect Israel, America the beautiful, and Canada, the true north, strong and free. Most sincerely, Barry Wunsch. Anyways, that was pretty intense, I think.
Wow.
Wow.
But words that needed to come into form for sure.
Yeah. Whew.
Thank you. And do you hear the fires that are being referenced, right? That alchemical heat that's coming to bring this greater, deeper, broader alchemization of all that is illusion and corruption, and turning this world right side up back into its true song of oneness. And there's the energy of songs, right? There's a lot of that. The music is finding us again. And I think those of us that are willing to, that have the ability to see deeper into what's really going on, there's this stretching, of course, we're all being stretched, but there are many of us who've been called to know both worlds at the time that one is falling away and one is rising while many still sleep. So for those that can know about Australia, that those that can know about the atrocities that have been happening, those that can hold the light in the greatest of darkness, are some of the most powerful warriors on the planet ever to be seen. And I think many of us here and those listening are among them, right? We are these light holders and bringing that candle into the darkness, not being afraid of the darkness, but bringing the light to it and integrating the darkness back into the light as God's instruments. So that was an incredible thing. I'm grateful to that channel who channeled that. And I'm grateful for you, for your vessel, for bringing that through to us, Matthew. Perfect message.
I would love to get a copy of that, Matthew, if you could send it to Marie. I was deeply moved by that.
Yeah, when I read it, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And, you know, people can take it different ways. You know, if the secular language is too much for you, whatever. I just think there's so much just energy in that transmission and just so much hope and promise and just like transformation coming. And it like, it cannot be stopped. It's like, it is coming and it's here.
It's
not
here.
even just coming, it's here.
It's here, right. I agree.
And yeah, it's just wonderful. So I'll paste that in the chat for everyone. So.
Yes, and even I will post it as a link below this roundtable video so other people can access it as well. So thank you, Matthew. A very poignant message for our times right now, right? As we approach the solstice with the time of, I guess, the deepest darkness, but the seeds of the new light. So thank you. Patrick, do you want to
Yeah.
share something?
Yes, I'd like to. Yeah, thank you, Matthew. That was really amazing. It gives hope. Yeah, like you said, it's really important and we need that. Um, it's funny, I was thinking about what I had in my heart and that I wanted to share today, and I didn't know how to put it into words. And it's just really amazing to always see how these discussions pave the way and makes the little pieces go together to bring us to how, oh, that's what I want to say and how. So yeah, going from what Renee said about, you know, being the first to share a smile or to engage or to connect. And so I just moved, and for my entire life I lived in a big city, and now I'm in the country. And it's one of the things that I've noticed, when you go shopping, I go to the store, and I do that. I never used to do that before when I was in the city, but I would go and I introduce myself to the owner and I talk to him, ask them their names, and we start a discussion. And it's just so amazing, this feeling of simple connection with people, which I never really had a chance to experience that much in the city, which does bring me to what I wanted to share about. I think that the energies right now around us, it's about, the universe is giving us new opportunities, new doors opening for us to be more ourselves and for us to accomplish what we've come here to do. And I just wanted to share what I want to connect to more these days for Christmas is the gratitude of having these opportunities, like me deciding to take a chance and just leaving all references and just moving to the country. And it does take a lot of courage, and but it's just amazing to see how life gives us all these new paths that we can take. And I guess I just wanted to share that today. I just wanted to share my gratitude and to encourage people to see these new paths. And it's funny, but I think that, like Renee said, by connecting to other people, um, it creates even more paths and possibilities and opportunities. And I think that is something it's important for us to start to notice them more, and have the courage to go there. And because I think new world is coming, and it starts with each of us taking these little new paths and new choices and taking chances and going that. And that's seeding, for me, that's seeding what the entire world at a smaller scale, as above so below, so at a smaller scale, what the entire world will be doing pretty soon, hopefully, like the message Matthew just said about Australia. And
Yes.
so I think that's it. That's what I wanted to share. Yes, Renee.
It just reminded me of something that was given to me a long time ago, that an old friend said to me, if you could remove the mask from everyone, you would be surprised at how dear they are to you.
Mm.
And one of the things that I started doing, I worked as a flight attendant, a stewardess, first of all. I moved into the flight attendant name. And I could see the connection because I looked on the plane and everyone was somebody's uncle, cousin, grandmother, father, mother, and all this. And so I had an early opportunity to see that we're all family. And then later, as I was growing and seeking more understanding, I saw that everyone is a divine human. And I started seeing everyone as a divine human. And so that's what made me want to be the first to connect, because I'm seeing everyone as a divine human, which is the truth, whether or not they believe it. And so that's when I learned that you can have more of an impact on what's going on around you than it has on you because of your big picture. Because you are going past the reactive ego mind judgments and programs and habitual responses to really see the person in front of you. That's what makes it so easy to connect with everyone.
Yeah.
They are family, no matter who you see, no matter what's going on with them. It's a beautiful thing to have that big picture because you're just always blessed by it. So
That's so beautiful,
Thank
both
you.
of you. And Patrick, I just wanted to add to what you shared about the connection, and to use some of Renee's language, first nature, but that it's our first nature, right? To consciously breathe, for instance. It's our first nature to access these soul skills. It really is our first nature. It's just, for some, it's like a lost first nature, but we're coming into a time of found first nature awareness and skills and tools. And part of that first nature is, it's our first thing is to connect with others, right? Be the first to connect, but also with ourselves, with our hearts, with our path, with our gifts, what is ours to do. And I think if anybody is experiencing what you're experiencing, Patrick, whether it's a move to a new place or a move to a new job or a move to a new relationship, there's a lot of moving going on inside people, because like Matthew just read, God is on the move. So too are we as a reflection of that, right? Yes. And so that's important, though. That first connection is us when we're engaging in those breath practices. And Patrick, you're connected with heart math and a practitioner of those insights and those tools and that training, that you, when you connect with your heart center, you know that we're putting out this beautiful field when we can of this coherence with ourselves, first connection, then transmitting that to others when we're moving about in our day. And truly, we are the gift. Truly, when we can spend more time in that, and even in the uncertainty, there's these powerful, I call them pregnant risks, right? Positive risk taking in these times to step into the movement that's calling us, step into the connections that's calling us. We are surprising ourselves at our capacity to love. We're surprising ourselves in our capacity to emit these frequencies of light. And we're surprising ourselves in the courage we have to step into these new paths, into these unknowns, into the mystery that is still unfolding, right? That's going to reveal itself to us, but we have to first say yes to be that hero or that traveler in our soul's journey that says, yes, I am going to leave what's familiar, and I am going to be on the move into where God wants to place me, right? Into this new path, source, the universe, whatever your language might be. So I think you're a huge messenger, Patrick, as somebody who's just even a few days, maybe a week or so out of a big move, but not just a move around the block, metaphorically or literally. This was a big move into this bridge time for yourself to listen for how God wants to source, the universe wants to move through your instrument, and you can make a bigger positive impact. But you had to say yes, right? That's true for a lot of people too right now.
You end up not having a choice at one point. It's pulling you all over the place, and you just gotta do it and say, okay, I've had enough proof, synchronicities to let me know that it's okay and it's gonna work out. So you just do it anyways. And so I'm just grateful this moment to be with you and share it with you. It's also very validating and confirming, and it feels really warm inside. So yeah.
And we feel all that connection, and we invite everybody listening in this moment to feel this connection, right? Because we are all family, like you say, Renee, right? We are all family. So Del Sol, would you like to share?
Yes, I would love to. It's good to see everyone again. And as we are looking and understanding, traversing these energies, we are really truly stepping into our authenticity and stepping into our being and building those communities as Patrick is honoring the call that was given to him. And now he has a mandate to take that and move that forward. Renee is out there greeting and connecting with everyone. As we sit here, we're in a circle, and it reminds us of how we used to be in that circle as we gathered around a campfire in a circle telling stories. This is what we're doing. We're doing that in honor of remembrance of who we are. And when we tell those stories, we're activating within each and every one of us that memory. And that memory is releasing those codes, allowing us to propel us forward into our inner knowing and furthering our unlocking of who we are and what we are here to do. We are building communities around the globe, and in doing so, we're creating these pockets of circles. And the circles here in the 3D are small, but when you look in the etheric, we're all standing in a circle, honoring each other, honoring the call that is pulling us to do what we are here to do. I have a message for everyone. I just open your hearts and feel. Before there was words, there was frequencies and vibrations. Etehe soturtun tihis katawatosh, shene tawatur toho etais ni ispu ur, ni katash kutute, nehe sotorte, es suturtu u utushni I, yawana shoto otehe, fatois kutu suriya satatashni ispur, nawasho otehe, sakai skutu Suru sutushni satawa shoto otehe sanashku utais se or nehe suri tutu watash sheeya kotu sutuna teheshkutu. I want everyone to know that we're still riding that wave of transformation, and the eternal waters are still flowing within us, creating that memory for everyone to unlock and to honor the call that is pulling us. Sutu ushni is a tahas kotorene te tushni isuru tute nashkutu. But when we recognize each and every one of us, we're actually recognizing the divinity within ourselves. And going forward and taking that forward wherever we go, I am recognizing old friends, and it's good to see old friends again. We are all here on this divine path for one purpose, and that's to liberate this Mother Gaia out of the trenches and usher her into an era of light. Sanash ur atehis kututanaha. We all play a great role. No one is greater than the other. We're all here honoring each other in the process. That's what I want to share. And it's honest, I am honored to connect with old friends. Wherever I go, I open myself to the flow and honoring the path and the call. Thank you for allowing me to share.
We're so blessed by your sharings, Del Sol. That light language, it speaks beyond all languages, right? The frequency that we all remember, right? That we are family, that we are in this much greater oneness, in this bigger picture. It bridges all those chasms between us and each and the other, of the feeling of separateness, right? That light language, we're just all right there in that same circle, that sphere together. And when you talk about that, right? The sphere.
Yes, the sphere, we're all in that sphere. And we may look like we're alone, but when we take a look, the higher aspect of everything, you can see how we're all intertwined and we're all working in harmony, funneling that goal into that liberation of, for example, Australia is just one aspect of that liberation. And there are other aspects that are going on and coming to fruition that we're all working towards. So this is a part of many of what's to come. And it's going to be beautiful.
Right? I want to grab something really quick off my wall. This is a seed of life, right? A friend of mine makes these in metal. This is actually wooden circles, but you look at us on the screen right now, even our listeners too, people who are watching the video, and you see our boxes, right? Because that's how, whatever the software on Zoom creates our pictures and our imagery here. But this is what we're moving into, these overlapping, unified circles. And maybe the Zoom of the very near future is going to have our circles overlapping one another, because that's the consciousness that we're moving into versus separated, being trapped in boxes. We're infinite overlapping circles. And this is a Sounds of Circles roundtable. And what are the sounds of circles? We're the messages of the spheres. We're the music of the spheres, and we're the muse of the spheres. So I love this. This is Joseph Astorida's work. He makes all these geometrical shapes, but the flower of life, the seed of life, extraordinary geometrical art. And I feel his presence in here with us as well. So Del Sol, thank you, because all of that beautiful light language and the messages streaming through your heart allowed even more of this to pour forth, so we can feel more of that connection, contribution, unconditional giving energy, these messages that are streaming through today. So
thank you.
Matthew. Yep.
I just want to comment on that. Was beautiful, Dosso. Thank you. I definitely felt processing in my own body, which was just wonderful. And you talked about this higher vision, which brings us back to the giraffe, at the beginning, just having that looking down, being able to be above everything and see it from the higher perspective. I love what Marie brought in with like the circles and the sound. And I had this imagery of like, not really imagery, just like this idea, like what if all fans were tuned to like solfeggio frequencies instead of like the industrial noises that they're at? Like, what could we do in the world if we start making things like, in service of life instead of, just polluting of life? So that kind of came up, and something Renee was talking about too, like we're all these beautiful, divine humans, but we can't see it because it's almost like there's like mud caked on us. There's this old story of like a golden Buddha encased in clay, right? And a lot of us don't realize that we're the golden Buddha. And we look around and we judge people by the clay we see, which is what society splatters all over us, right? And so, just really inspired, Renee, by what you said. How can we see through that clay and just see like, wow, we're all the same underneath it all, and to help people do the work of getting rid of this layers of buildup so that we can like, really shine. Back to what Marie said too, with the ugly duckling and the swan. We're all the swan. And one of her recent, podcasts as well. So anyways, just wanted to share a few things that came up.
Thank you, Matthew. These reflections are so timely. They're so perfect. And I love how they're so in the moment, right? Because that's how we're meant to live. We don't need scripts. We don't need big plans. We just have to show up and be ourselves, and it's all right there, right? Just like you said, Patrick, too, of like all the pieces come together and we say, oh, right. And it all weaves together and it comes through our heart, and our heart's connecting to our voice. I'm going to share a message from Jonathan William in just a little bit. He also has been in some roundtables with me, but he talks about, Paul, you might know this. I didn't know this before, but apparently your tongue forms out of your heart when you're forming in utero. I don't know if that's true. Maybe does everything form out of the heart frequency?
There's brachial clefts or brachial arches, and there's strange connections between things from embryological perspective. It's very difficult to understand it because everything changes so quickly. but there are weird connections that you wouldn't envision that are there, you know. So yeah, I think there's elements of the heart that are also, because there's also deformities that occur in children who have problems with their jaws, also connected to their heart, tongue, and these types of things. So yes, that.
Interesting. He talks about that, and when he does meditation, he says to put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, and that is seeding that connection between your heart and your mind, right? Your tongue is one of the bridges and core connectors, and that your tongue is formed from your heart. So this is what we're doing. We're all these vessels of bringing these pieces together, and we just have to show up and allow the tongue that's connected to the heart, right? All of our energy bodies informing what wants to stream through us. And less, I think we'll find, as more and more educational systems are reformed, changed, or completely disbanded and remade, however it's going to be, it needs to evolve, must evolve to match the frequencies of the new earth, right? And so that we are facilitating these connections, basically, right? And our heart centers, and we're speaking these frequencies, and we don't have to study for however many years, Paul, especially, right? You know, you described this journey of being in school, not thinking that you were going to have so much education, and yet your life path pulled you forward to become a physician, right? And a holistic physician at that. So here we are, we're all listening. And I think we're all at the precipice of breaking into, emerging into being more of what we even understand ourselves to be right now on this podcast. There's a new us that is emerging now through the season of light and into 2022. We're going to be accessing more of our gifts, like Del Sol's light language, which is so amazing. And for me, I could speak for myself. When I was a child, I wasn't saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, you're going to be a channel. No, I didn't have any of that language. But things emerge, right? We emerge. We're all in these healing frequencies. We all are these messengers. And now we're listening to the next level where that's leading us, right? Whether it's nonprofits or these next steps that we're going to take, these new businesses, these new projects. It's very exciting in the crumbling, which can be overwhelming and stressful. It's also exhilarating because we're about to also access more of this energy that this alchemical flame is bringing to us, which is life force. Life force is coming back to all of us and our sovereignty. So let me ask, Nancy, do you want to share something? And then I'm going to get to you, Lisa, in a second.
Sure, I can. I have... I pulled a short piece of verse only because I usually think other people can say it so much more eloquently than myself. But I think it's relevant. We started off with Paul talking about polarities, and I think that's what most of us see today on a daily basis, are people living in the effects of this polarity. So with that in mind, I wanted to read this. This is by Kathleen Kavanaugh, and I don't know much about her at all, anything about her other than her name. And so here it is. Bid them come not as of old, with frankincense, myrrh, gems, and gold, but with nobler, love's own proffer, unto their God their hearts to offer. And I thought, you know, first of all, thinking about people living in this polarity, and then Patrick's talking about finding a new path. And I think part of what is so difficult for so many people right now, and why they're feeling this struggle, is they're looking for a new path. And that's sort of that's the problem, right? That's the old way of thinking. We had a path and it isn't working. We're finding a new path. And in reality, the new path is not necessarily seeing it in front of you as much as living through your heart and love and letting it unfold. And that's a really frightening thing for most people. And that's the really revolutionary way we have to change our thinking. You know, Marie, you just mentioned when you were little and thinking about what you were going to be. Am I going to be a channeler? And I thought, as you said that, how interesting it was that in reality, I thought similar things like, well, I'll be a this or I'll be a this. And nothing really rung true other than I kept saying, I'm going to be a lover. right?
Mm.
And I didn't know what that was going to look like. And that was the struggle and the difficulty, is how am I going to love? Right? And you can try on all of these masks or these different hats, but if you can stay true to that feeling, that intention within you that knows the truth and knows who you are, you just have to have the faith that knowing that the path will be right when you choose to walk from that knowingness within.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
I
It's
want to.
also part of that. I think there were many messages and marinades before about the precipice, right? And it's similar to the hero's journey of leaving the known world into the unknown, or this sacred new world, this new path. And you have to be trusting that the stones in the fog will appear, right? It's like entering the mists of yourself. You, with the God in you and all the support of the universe and spirit and our guides, right? There's so much support, but it's allowing ourselves to really emerge in this language of the unfoldment. And we're not, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the polarity pulls us out of remembering that.
Yes, it's such a distractor, right? If we can keep looking at the polarity, we're not looking at the integration. We're not looking at the things that we already have it all inside us, right? From all time. And how brilliant was it for you to be knowing at an earlier age of, I want to be a lover, right? I am a lover. And then, but how confusing it must have been of like, is there a job? Can I just be a lover? Right? Right? And you have to find ways to channel that. I think we all might have these stories, because everyone here in this roundtable, and probably many people listening to this, a lot of us are healers or artist archetypes, right? And when you have that, marrying those skills of the healer and the inner artist and the light as empaths and sensitives and intuitives and the things that we all have this, but for some of us it's more accessible. I know in my life, like we are all this. And then I know when I went to college and I had to like, okay, I'll be this tiny little thing, right? With this title. And I didn't even know that I was feeling shrunk down. I just felt like I was being funneled into a life that I didn't see any other options for all the other stuff that I felt that I was. And when you don't even have a language for that, it's so diffuse in your experience. So you become a therapist, right? Like that's what I became, right? And we become that for a while, but as Patrick, you describe, or one of you was mirroring back to Patrick, we're kicked out of our lives, right? If we've been funneled into something small, we're about to have that whole thing expanded. This is that time, and we do have to be comfortable with not knowing what the path is. In fact, by stepping into it, you form it. You become the path. It's you, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a street or a roadway or a highway or a series of certifications and degrees. It's you. So, and what I know you want to say something, Patrick, but I can just say one thing.
Of course.
Is how terrifying is that for many people to actually stop being distracted by the polarity and turn and look at themselves, right? Turn and be with themselves in the stillness. And there you are, Patrick, in the country where you have a lot more of that. So please share.
I just got really excited about what Nancy was saying and about changing our way of thinking. And it's just incredible. I've studied coaching to help people in NLP, and the way that we're brought up, the way I'm going to say programmed, is that okay, we got to have an objective and then figure out what's the path to get us there. And the thing is, we just got to be connected to ourselves, because it's the path that is the actual objective. Get the best path that you can by connecting with yourself, because it's okay to get a vision saying that your X is here, you're supposed to get there, but then it gives you a direction. But then when you stay connected, it might end up moving and changing, and you just got to be connected. But we're not used to that. We're used to having an objective, measuring the progress, knowing what you need, and then judging yourself if you don't get it there quick enough, good enough, or whatever. And it's really requires another way of seeing things. And I just wanted to add that, because it is so important, in my opinion, that we realize it's the path. And
it's a huge pivot on that
every step.
precipice.
Yeah.
Exactly, to access more of the path. Powerful. It is so powerful. Nancy, thank you. That was beautiful. And in there, in what you read, there was reference to gold, silver, I think.
Well, I think what they were saying is changing the gift, right? The gift of old, and they said gold, frankincense, myrrh, and the gift of new, giving from love, right? And so I thought that that kind of spoke to what we were speaking about, is maybe that unconditional giving really isn't about the gift. It's about the love within you, the intention behind what you're giving. That is what you're giving. And so again, Patrick as well, that is the path, right? And I start thinking as we've been talking, and I've been asking myself, and I think I know the answer, but does love live in that dichotomy, those opposing energies? And I don't think it does, right? So love is the actual balancing force between those two opposing energies.
Yeah, I wanted to add too, that think about the term present. You know, I want to give somebody a present, and it literally means present, being present. And so when you can draw somebody into that point of presence, you know, you're now between the dichotomy or the polarities of the past and the future. And in fact, there's many scriptural passages, Jesus teaches this, that he says when there's three gods, but when there's one or two or one, I am with you. What he's making a reference to is he's making a reference to time. And so God doesn't think, I mean, the true God, the Christos sophic energies do not exist in the past or the present. They exist in this moment, in the now. And so when you can bring somebody into the now moment with you, which is heart coherence, you know, you're giving somebody the greatest gift possible, because you're bringing them into Christ consciousness, like we're doing right now here in this discussion. We're bringing all of us, we're bringing ourselves into the now. And when we're in the now, we're in the presence of the true God, which lives within us.
And isn't it amazing, like all the different modalities that are probably represented in each of us, right? With each of the things that we've been trained in, that we know, that we might say we do this kind of coaching or that kind of coaching or whatever, but it is our presence, right? It doesn't matter, like it matters, but whether it's, you know, a psychology degree or social work or NLP or heart math or Reiki or all that, it is our presence. And I think for a lot of people that have been so outside of their own presence, it's healing just to be in that circle with us in the present moment, which is what you're saying, Paul, and what you're saying, Nancy, and all of us are reflecting this today. And we're weaving these threads of the oneness in these connections, which is, it's the energy behind all of the words that we're saying that is felt beyond. The words entertain our minds some, and the words have frequency, which helps us, but it's really the presence inside all of us that's knowing this, that's remembering this, and that's amplifying this in our gathering today. And that it's here now for anyone who's listening to this to access this in their own life. Join us in those spheres. Join us in these connections inside your own presence. We'll meet you there. Source will meet you there. All the blessings, this etheric gold energy is what I felt when you described that, the gold, silver, and myrrh of old, right? But it's really this intangible, it's this golden frequency, which is maybe the color of unity consciousness. I don't know, this golden white living light, right? That's what we're all embodying here on this call. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy and Paul. Thank you, all of you. And I want to ask Lisa to share.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great. It was great listening to everybody. And it's Paul, you took the words right out of me with the presence, because I believe that this time of year is a gift, and that gift is us being presence. I feel that in 2020, with the Jupiter-Saturn alignment, that it did represent the Star of David and the three kings. And we are each those three kings walking towards that light. And as experiences and situations in life, and for each of us individually and collectively, ascending to be that light. But that light is found within us and in that presence. And as I was listening to everybody, I knew I was going to be last. And I was like, how am I going to tie everybody into this? And I felt as if I was sitting on a train, and I kind of like the Polar Express train, you know, and like, where are we going? And, you know, you stick your head out the window and you can look to the right and look all the way to the past. And we can look to the left and see all the way to the future. But when we turn and we go within is where our presence is. And I think many of us forget that, how to connect to that presence. And as a humanity, it has been taken away from us. We have been robbed of it. We have been placed in a fear mask. Mm-hmm. And the 2020 Stargate opening of the solstice was the birthing, just as Christ Jesus was birthed. And this time of year, this darkest time of year, with those stars and the stars that are on the trees and in our cities, in our communities, in our homes, you know, that represents that shining stillness that is within us, that we have a great opportunity every year to connect and find that within us. And life is for giving. And this is the true essence of giving, our presence during this time of year and all year. And Paul, that you had a dream at such a young age to be able to interpret. And Del Sol, your message, so powerfully channeled. You know, Patrick, your courage to face the presence within you and say yes, and to move and to change your whole life. Our planet, we are changing. We still wake up and we get dressed and we put our clothes on and we go we drink our coffee, we go into our routine, and we disconnect from those changes. But we are the change. And your prayer, Matthew, that channel, that is the ever-burning fire of passion, that isn't for just Australia, but that is for Mother Earth, and that we connect from above and below, and it is within us. And that is the true presence of life and the true presence within us. I hope I encompassed, just sitting here listening to everybody, and the enrichedness and the gratitude that I feel. Nancy, your prayer that you shared, oh my gosh, I want that too. You know, this is what this circle is all about. And the spheres and us coming together. You know, we are the Christed light. We are the togetherness. We are the change of Earth. You know, we can't recite it. We can't read it in a book. We can't pray it to the highest heavens, because we are bringing heaven to earth in the presence of these moments. And the more present we are in the stillness and silence with ourselves, then the more we are apt to changing the beingness of who we are. And then we change the beingness of all those around us. And I just truly believe that we are in a time of great change, a time of beginning to bring 1,000 years of peace. And for me, I believe that Yeshua was the Prince of Peace. And we have another opportunity, and this is it. This is now. And this is the 1,000 years of peace again within us. So that duality, that polarity, that pole that, you know, we're talking about, is that upbringing that we have within us, in our DNA, in our culturals, and our mindsets that have been so structured and so imprinted and so conditioned that we get scared. How am I supposed to be this when we know what it is? How can I even be in stillness? Because there's so much noise in the world. There's so much noise in our head. So it's just reverting all of that around. And I love that each of us has brought that into this moment, for me to translate that as it just came out, because I had no idea that is what was going to come out from each of us together. So thank you, thank you, thank you for this magnitude of energy in the stillness, in the silence, and in the presence, that when two or more are gathered, we are here to bring the harmony and balance from within our heart to our mind, to create the new mindset, to create the new systems, to create the new communities, to bring discernment and courage into every present moment. Thank you.
That was a perfect bigger picture perspective. Also,
That's my giraffe energy.
it is. I was going to say it's the giraffe energy, right? And is giraffe also? It feels the divine feminine. Is that an energy of giraffe medicine? Is the divine feminine?
It is divine feminine, yes. Being grounded and reaching above. And I have been gifted with the presence of giraffe since I was 11 years old. And I empowered it in 2017. Merged with it, married it, allowed it. You know, we got to move away from the how, because I did the how for a long time. And we have to move into the allow.
Yes. Ooh, I like that. Move away from the how into the allow. That is powerful right there. Thank you. Thank you. And I think you're echoing just this energy, this synergy, this communion. It's really a communion of souls here in these spheres that's unfolding today. We're all in this unfoldment, and so are our listeners, because it's unfolding in timeless time with all of us, this greater weaving of more of which we are, which is the light that's leading all of these things, these new systems, new creations. I want to take just a moment now and share a message from Jonathan William, who prepared this ahead of time since he knew he couldn't be on the call with us in person when this was recorded. He sent a message, and I'm going to share my screen for a second. Okay, so this next sharing is from Jonathan William, and he sent this in ahead of time to be part of our now, right? He portaled into our present in this amazing way. So let's have a listen.
Greetings to my brothers and sisters in God. This is a love message from the great I Am for this holiday season. As I step out of my house each day, my eyes are drawn to the grandness and greenery of the mighty, majestic evergreen tree. For in the cold and bleakness of the winter season, they remain in the state of ever-willing, ever-perpetual growth as they reach up toward the light of the great central sun. Even as the forest of trees that surround them have lost their leaves and have entered a deep state of slumber, they have not. For you see, the evergreen never loses its vibrancy when winter arrives, and even seems to become more vibrant against the backdrop of a landscape gray and brown. It is of no coincidence that many celebrate this season honoring this tree within their homes, for it is a reminder to reach toward the apex of the ascension. The very A-frame of this tree is the reminder. These epic evergreens can withstand the fiercest of conditions. Wind, rain, sleet, and heavy snow may blow, batter and barrage them. Yet they stand firm in their footing as they continue to rise toward the sun at the center of creation. You have probably had the feeling by now that I am not just speaking of trees, but am metaphorically speaking about you. For you are these mighty evergreens, the mighty ones that have endured and continue to grow through what seems like a never-ending period of forgetfulness, forgery, and fog. You have planted your roots deep into the soil of our beloved Gaia and have connected your roots to the heart center of the great I Am, which pulsates with the song of creation now and forevermore. Let us now tune into the vibration and frequency of the color green. For this color is given to you for the purposes of regeneration, restoration, and rejuvenation, among many, many other virtuous God qualities. Close your eyes and use the power of your imagination or image in action to see your room filled with the flaming green energy of God. This green flame knows all and sees all because it is intelligent, and is rooted in the firmness of the singular sight of the Creator. In you, it is anchored at the altar of what you refer to as the third eye energy center. Now that you have imaged the flames in the atmosphere around you, I'd like you to turn your floor into a vibrant green meadow with trillions of green blades of grass. Now see the wind blow in and see these blades of grass begin dancing with life. Turn your couch into a rolling green hill. Transform the other furniture round about you into green trees and shrubbery of living green. In the center of the room stands you, the mighty, majestic evergreen, with its roots planted deep within our mother Gaia, reaching up through the apex, the A-frame, as a reminder to reach toward the heights of the heavens, the great central sun. It is by the power of your breath and the power of your image combined that you can transform the very atmosphere around you at any second of the day by using these powers of transformation. First, see yourself, and then begin breathing yourself into this knowing. With every in-breath, draw in the green that surrounds you. And with every out-breath, say to yourself, I am, followed by, I am regeneration, I am rejuvenation, I am the restoration, I am. May love and peace be with you, my friends, during this celebratory season. Namaste, Jonathan William.
So grateful to Jonathan for sharing that. Beautiful, that imagery. It's sentient imagery, right? It's like felt inside, to be known and to be journeyed. And we can all, I hadn't thought about evergreens as this A-frame, right? And reaching out and connecting with these higher frequencies. And the evergreen that's always green, right? It's always filled with life force when other trees have their cycles. So there's something so beautiful in what each one of us, it's like if we each had a candle, right? In this conversation today, we really are lighting up the planet with all of these offerings. And it's so amazing, the music, that's what I use that metaphor a lot, the music that's in our souls, right? Our artistry, our messages, our wisdom, our gnosis that we carry through time with us. It's right there. You don't have to go to school necessarily to access what this magic, this music is inside you. And I'm grateful for Jonathan's music as well. He just gave us that beautiful meditation and message. And I just wanted to close out today's roundtable with a message from Mother Mary. And I don't use decks very much, but last night when I was feeling our roundtable, this summoned me, it like pulled me over to the shelf and had me open this box and pull a few cards for a reading for humanity. And this is a message, Mother Mary is very much in this message. And the question that I felt to ask before I pulled the cards was, in what ways can humanity and us on this call be open to receive the blessings and gifts of the light of the season, the light of the holidays, and the dawn and the birth of this new earth, or the birth of these transforming and transformative frequencies that are emerging a new version, a more expansive version of us. So that was the question that I felt come through. How can humanity be open to receive the gifts of the light of the season, the holidays, and this new year that's emerging inside us? And I don't know if all of you know, I don't know if you guys pull cards. I don't do this very often, so I had to use the little instruction manual that I have marked. But in the three cards that you pull, the first card is a reflection of the immediate past of the question. The second card was kind of the current experience of the question. And the third card was really kind of the future present of what's going to emerge as we experience the outcomes of what this energy is. So the first card that I pulled was trust. So interesting, right? Because we are in these kind of darker, denser, heavier times. We're in this time of winter, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. And if we look at these questions, how can we be open to receive the blessings of the season that we're in right now, the cosmological seasons, God's season, and these shift of the ages? Trust would be a critical ally, right, in these times. And the card itself says, I know that God, in his infinite wisdom and love, is answering my prayers right now. So it's a very beautiful, beautiful message. And I have the page marked here. I just thought I'd read a few things. There's that reflection that I just read. And it says, you asked this question because you desire reassurance that everything is going to be okay. This card asks you to trust that indeed it will be. By relaxing with faith and trusting in God's infinite intelligence, you open the doorway to the answers to your prayers. In this way, you are more receptive to hearing heavenly guidance, which gives you infinite instruction about which action steps to take. And as you take them, you bring about divine results, right? And this card promises you a favorable resolution to your current situation, even if it differs from your expectations. So just that energy of trust. Remember, this is kind of the immediate past of this question. How can we be open to receiving? Trust is showing up for us right now as a collective humanity, right? To step up in faith, and the answers will find us. The second card that came through was tenderness, was the second card. And this card says, I am both gentle and powerful. I am both gentle and powerful. Kind of like giraffe is grounded in the 3D and also connected with the divine, right? I am both gentle and powerful. And that message is tenderness. This card counsels you to approach your current situation gently. It acknowledges and honors your deep sensitivity and asks you to do the same. If someone or something feels too harsh, trust that it is so for you. Your tenderness is a spiritual gift that allows you to feel the presence of Mother Mary and the angels. Trust your feelings as accurate messengers to guide you in healthy directions. You drew this card because your current situation calls for you to simultaneously honor your sensitivity while maintaining your boundaries. It's time for you to be both nice and assertive. Lovingly speak your truth to others. Mother Mary also guides you to develop physical strength through exercise and tenderly caring for your body. That's powerful. That's a message for these times, to be both gentle and powerful, to honor our sensitivities that we're all feeling and the strength that we're also called to embody, that I might add from the harbingers that have also been finding us in the transmissions and in these times with our guides, you know, our higher selves, right? There's a deeper spiritual acuity, strength, and courage that we're asked to tap into. Very powerful card, this tenderness. And then the last card that I drew was the card of compassion, which I'll find that in the deck here. Compassion.
Wow.
And this is for the immediate future present that is, I guess, emerging to be the experience that we'll be having out of the question that was asked. How can we as a humanity be open to receive the blessings and gifts of the season? Compassion. I see and feel others' points of view with forgiveness and kindness. That's the message on that card. So compassion. This card is an angel that comes to you to uplift the way you're seeing your current situation and the people in it, including yourself. As a sensitive person, you're affected by others' negativity, and this has recently darkened your emotions and thoughts. To bring more light into your world, see people's situations through the eyes of Mother Mary and the angels. Know that they and you are doing the best they can. Although we all make mistakes, ultimately everyone wants the same thing: peace and love. This card calls for you to be the peacekeeper in this situation and to make the first move toward a harmonious resolution. By sharing peace and love, you bring healing blessings to the situation and increase your own self-esteem. I like that, to make the first move toward a harmonious resolution, which is what I think you shared, Renee, which is be the first to make the connection, right? There's so many energies in those cards, right? The trust, the tenderness, and the compassion for our time, for the times we're living through, for what's asked of all of us while we're being stretched to release the things we are not, and we're still kind of, we're these divine human beings, these souls in human form who have shed their costumes but don't quite know exactly what the new versions of us are wearing and how we're expressing our gifts. We're kind of naked unto ourselves right now, and we're being pulled and opened really in these incredible otherworldly ways. I mean, that's what ascension is. It's an otherworldly process. It's a bigger picture vision you have to see what's really happening inside us to transcend a lot of these times. And many of us are these messengers of the light, and we are the ones that have to have this, breathe in this divine prana, to trust this divine ascension process, even when we're uncomfortable or we feel more naked than ever before with ourselves. There we have the opportunity to connect with ourselves, right? To connect with our heart centers, to go into the neutrality so we're not being pulled by the opposing polarities, right? The two wolves. We can go into the heart's perfect neutrality, which is what I understand to be grace, right? When we're in the neutrality of our heart centers, we step outside of time, we consciously breathe, we're in that coherence, and we can allow in God's grace to be our expression, and we can be this tenderness and this compassion in form in these times, and be the channel of that even when we're triggered, right? We can be willing to open and receive the peace and the love, which is the blessing really of the season that we are channels of in these times. So this just beautiful energy today, this beautiful holiday roundtable, all of us gathering. This is a message for December 2021, but these are messages for all time, and especially these times right now. So I want to thank each one of you who contributed your light, right? Your special, unique candle flame to this much bigger circle and sphere of candlelight that is lighting up the darkness on a planet in the midst of incredible shifts and change. Did any one of you want to share anything before we close this out today? Are we good? Are we in a good space? Right? Yeah, I think we're in a good space. So thank you. Thank you all for joining me. I want to thank our listeners for joining us. And I want to thank our listeners if you resonate with this message and you benefited in some way, if there were pieces of a bigger picture for you and you feel called, share this with other people, right? Share this with other people in your life who could benefit from the blessings of these kinds of messages, that we're all part of this music of the spheres. We're all aspects of these sounds of circles, right? Messaging the joy of the changes of how we're expanding and we're leaving contraction. So share these messages. Find us on your favorite social media platforms. You can find us through our podcast. You can listen just via audio podcasts, and you can also tune into the video expression of these bright lights here today, reflecting to you your very own brilliant light. And the present is the gift, right? That's another big message of today, that your presence on the planet is the gift. And when we're all in sacred presence together, well, that's New Earth frequency. And we're already there. We just have to breathe ourselves and allow ourselves there. So thank you. Blessings, everyone. And we'll see you soon for another roundtable. Blessings. Happy holidays, everyone.